welcome to this week's episode of The Dental Guys. I'm Wes, the Dental Guy.
And I'm John, the Dental Guy. And man, episode 151 is here. And I'll tell you, this is going to be, I don't know, maybe a little bit, we might disrupt a little bit, right? We might try to mess with you a little bit because we're going to talk about what has been truly messing with our practices in the last year, in the last 6 months, in the last month. So Wes, first of all, before we get into all that, nerding out, geeking out, which we always do, let's talk about life. What has been messing with you in your life? Because I've been seeing some photos and frankly, I think it looks like a lot of work. I don't know that I'm up for it. Tell us about that.
It's not so much composites and advanced treatment plan today on episode 151. It's about Wes's kitchen remodel, right?
That's right. That's what I was hoping you'd say, because wormy chestnut is maybe the word of the day, or possibly just when you want to reno your kitchen, I don't know, maybe call Wes.
You know, the other day my associate walked in my house and he was like, "What do you call this? Carpentry?" And I was like, "Listen, let's sit down and have a cup of coffee." And, I grew up around blue collar people, and I grew up around people that just did it yourself. And from the very beginning, my father, my father-in-law, my dad's dad, my mom's dad, and really even my mom, really we were cut from a family of, you lived where you did it yourself, right? And know me, right? I'm a do-it-yourself, but also like next level.
Oh, I know. That's why I bring it up.
Back in COVID, Laura and I bought this house, and we've been renovating certain aspects of it. And the project that we took on this year, and you're all probably wondering, like, well, that's why you didn't record like in 2023, right?
That's part of the reason.
It's probably one of the reasons, But, kitchen remodel and was on the order for 2023. So it started with planning in January and ordering appliances in March. And at this point, maybe, right? I don't know, because we're recording this in advance of January. Happy New Year, right? Maybe I have my refrigerator that I ordered 11 months ago. But
11 months?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so the thing about this is, like, Laura and I knew that we were going to live here for probably 10 years. And so we're not people that move. We like where we live, but yet because we can travel easily from here. So we knew that this investment we were going to make was going to be something for a long time. My wife and I like to entertain. We like to cook. We like to do the things we do in the kitchen, and it's amazing. So, yeah, kitchen remodel. So not essentially, I got to stop saying that. We gutted our kitchen, and we had a laundry room adjacent to that was about 100 square feet. So it's a pretty big laundry room. And we took her out. It was about 600 square feet of complete, like, gut. And down past the drywall, and removed 30-year-old cabinetry and a lot of things. And you're all wondering, well, who's the contractor on this? Well, you're looking at him. You're hearing him, right?
I was going to say,
and you're all like wondering, well, no, you're subbing out everything. No, I did sub a few things. For instance, I do some electrical work, and I have wired homes before with my father. But that was something I needed, a whole new panel set, all this stuff. I had a gas line moved in, so I had a plumber come in and do some gas lining for me. But John, you mentioned some special wood. So about 10 years ago, my dad called me, and I was in my practice, and he said, "Wes," he said, "I'm right here, right now. I've got a barn, and I can get it for $1,000 taken down. The lady doesn't know what she has. It is wormy chestnut. Do you want it?" He's like, I don't
That's
know when you'll
special.
use it, but it's extinct. You know, I've grew up around woodworking, so wormy chestnut is extinct. The American chestnut died out in the 20s and 30s. And so here we are, right? In 10 years ago, I dry stacked wood off of a barn. And in this kitchen, we built the range hood. The backside of the island is veneered with out of wormy chestnut. I just finished renovating my coffee bar, and I have shelves that I built. And John, have you ever heard of battery-powered shelves? Because this past weekend, I made battery-powered recessed LED light shelves out of wormy chestnut, right?
That's just ridiculous.
Even put the USB-C charging port kind of concealed, just to say you could do it. I did it. And then also we turned a laundry room into a full bath. You were like, well, who laid the tile? Who did all the grouting? Yours and myself and my wife.
This is why you hopefully understand why when you think, oh, dental guys have been just, hanging out, they quit, whatever.
What happened to the bees? Oh,
no, they've been, Wes has been dealing with wormy chestnut, reclaimed lumber, and a kitchen reno and a new house. Also has had a new associate in place.
Oh, yeah.
Finished a building, in the recent couple of years. I've also got a new associate in place. This is just where we are at. But throughout all of that, we have continued to learn. And I'm going to talk about this because we are both on the cusp. And I love that pun. But we're both on the cusp of some new things. And I'm about to, in 3 days, head to Scottsdale for very interesting course on advanced treatment planning. I want to, though, hear about your journey, Wes, first, about you were out at Spear.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you listen to the last episode, you heard us say, normally we're at all the same courses in the front row. But just the way this year has gone, it's been crazy town. Wes went to the composite course at Spear. I am just about to embark upon the advanced treatment planning course with Kinzer and Rouse. So, Wes, I want you to tell our listeners a little bit about, first of all, what you kind of heard, condensed version, and then a little bit about what, first of all, got you thinking I need to take this course. Maybe start with that. Why did you think this was next for you? Number 2, a little bit about what you learned. And then number 3, a little bit about what has it changed in your day-to-day practice. And I can then talk a little bit about the same for what's about to happen in the next week for me.
Yeah, why was Excellence in Composites, a course by Jason Smithson at Spear Education, the next iteration in my development and continuing education as a dentist? So years ago, John and I talked about that we're just now figuring out composites, and really, honestly, for those that are new to dentistry and for those that have been in dentistry, there is, with any technical skill, a learning curve. And it seems like that with fillings, it's a love-hate relationship with a lot of problems and variables and how you do things. And so for me, what started with Spear years ago was learning how to bond patients transitionally, right? How to offer patients an alternative, cases that need to be phased. I do a lot of phased sequencing. For instance, somebody that needs their vertical dimension opened, right?
Yep.
Or they need to be restored segmentally, right? Because of whatever reason, right? Whether it's financial or circumstantial, whatever it is, whether you need to trial an occlusion, and how do you do that in composite, and how do you move patients from short teeth to long teeth while in ortho. So John and I talked about, taking Warren Dentition and these courses and occlusion, and how there was layers upon layers of education. And really what it came down to, John, is that many layers of education led to understanding multiple ways to treat teeth. And whenever you understand science, and material science in particular, you start to, when you understand more about these things, you start to question, right, really what you're doing. And therefore it becomes necessary to go to the experts, right? And so last year I took a simple course. In 2022, I took a course a couple years ago, and learned some things that I felt were about composites, that, and just this is a day course, that added some things to what I was doing, but yet raised some questions about what I was doing. Right? Immediately, I started air abrasion. During that course, I started cleaning the teeth more thoroughly, and really spending more time with my bonding procedure and making sure that the tooth surface was prepared in a certain way. Okay, so that understanding led to refining and trying and practicing, which led to me taking this course at Spear Excellence in Composite Restoration. And what I will say, right, coming back from the course, and keep in mind, hey, look, I paid full fee for this course. Spear is not paying me to say this, right? If you're looking for refining, right, what you're doing in your practice when it comes to composites, don't think that you need to take Warren Dentition or something like that to take this course. This course would fit really well in your wheelhouse if you've taken facially generated treatment planning and maybe occlusion 1, right? It's not required to take occlusion 1, I don't think so, but I would recommend that FGTP would be your first course, maybe occlusion 1, and then consider taking this composite course. Because what's great about this course is they take some simple concepts and then also apply them to other things. For instance, I was at a point in my composite career here ready to hear some definitive answers. Okay, let me give you one. Here's some take-home messages for you. Have you ever heard of a starburst pattern bevel, John? It's where you take a burr, right, and you star or jagged edge the bevel across the facial of an anterior restoration. Okay, so what that does is that creates a long bevel and a short bevel, a long bevel and a short bevel. So it's not one continuous smooth arc. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're probably seeing my hand motions and all that. So check us out on YouTube, right? We're on there, as well as on Spotify and all those Apple Podcast stuff, or your greatest podcast catcher app. But what I would say is that one thing that Jason made a comment about is he said that there's no advantage of a starburst bevel, but some disadvantages. For instance, a coarse diamond burr will cause micro cracks in the enamel, and bond will cause the enamel to peel and lead to a white line. So I'm like, holy smokes. And when we're looking at scanning electron micrographs, it becomes more apparent what coarse diamonds do during a bevel.
He's showing this. He's showing this in his lecture.
He's showing this in his lecture.
SCM in his lecture.
Now, here's what messed with my mind back in Warren Dentition, right? Is I'm seeing Bob using composite, and I'm seeing Greg using composite as a transitional component to get patients to have longer teeth, opening their vertical, whatever you might be doing, ortho. And I'm doing this in my own practice as they teach it, and I'm seeing some things. I'm seeing my composite limitations. I'm seeing bevel limitations. And what Jason taught me, right, was that the composite chemistry matters, right, as Greg told us it did. Spherical things like that. So there's some limitations to 3M composite that I begin to see. I love 3M composite, using the posterior all the time. Fantastic composite. But I was seeing limitations, right, as far as like hiding this composite. Therefore, I thought star was the answer, but it wasn't. It was more in the preparation of the bevel, it being smooth, and understanding the chemistry, the science behind the material and how it was engineered. Now, this is where Jason comes in. He's been a key opinion leader for so many different composite companies. He's been to the manufacturers. He'll look at you and say, what composite do you like? And he'll tell you how to use it, right? He was like, what consistency do you like currently? Let me tell you how to use it. Are you seeing this in your composite? Let me tell you what you're doing wrong. This is what you're going to get from this course. Not to change your composite materials, but to understand how to use what you have. Yeah. Right? It's amazing, right? So one of the things I mentioned, and I'll say this, is that I have went away from the star bevel pattern, right? I've went to a 1 to 2 millimeter bevel, and I'm polishing that. With a fine diamond, and on all of, whether it's class 2s or whether it's class 4s in the anterior, we're not just talking about like fancy stuff. I'm talking about normal day in, day out dentistry. I'm also using particle abrasion prior to smoothing, prior to beveling. Bioblasting, if you want to call it, or particle abrasion, removes aprismatic enamel, and therefore whenever you remove prismatic enamel with particle abrasion, you have double the bond strength to enamel. Now, listen, right? I'm not going to argue with masters. Like, we could sit here and like start quoting literature and all this kind of stuff, but the literature is there to support that particle abrasion does increase bond strength. It's been proven time and time again. It is not anything new. And I currently use particle abrasion even on my class 2 preparations. Okay. Now, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty on all that, but I have particle abrasion, and then I use a fine diamond after I've partically abraded, because there is some evidence, and he'll show you SEM scans of what the particle abrasion does to the enamel, and you need to smooth that and do the beveling after you particle abrade. Okay, interesting concept. Never heard that before, and he showed the literature to back that up. So then we moved into, like, there's the standard like questions in the class, right? Like, well, how do you reduce sensitivity? Hey, that's a great question, guys, right? And here's a quote from Jason himself. Hope we get to interview him this year on the podcast. We're going to call for him, and hopefully he comes on the show. But the key to removal of sensitivity is to effectively hybridize the dentin. That's the answer. And so whatever it takes to hybridize dentin is how you remove postoperative sensitivity.
Back up, because it should be obvious. But to say hybridize dentin,
yeah, tell us, John.
I'm learning more and more that $850,000 of education doesn't necessarily buy you the basics. So
conversation stopper.
Say, if you don't know what hybridizing the dentin means, then you need to go back and you need to review what we're doing every day. Because I think today, and again, maybe I'm getting old. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting like, I don't know, a little like upset about it. But I'm going to go back to what we said 7 years ago. If you don't know what you're using for bonding, and you don't know why you're using it, and you don't know how many seconds it should be applied, you don't know whether you should selective etch, total etch, not etch, self etch, which generation of bonding you should be using, you should go back and you should take a moment and you should look at what you're using and why. Because we, at the Dental Guys, what it's all about, when we start to talk about these advanced I mean, it's difficult. We want to be able to be accessible by all clinicians. Because we know we have been there. Wes and I were there when we were a year and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 out, and we were just learning based upon really who had told us what to use. And now, as generations have gone by and we have people that are smarter than us, I mean, I think about the last Spear Summit that we were at. When we were hosting and we had folks on the podcast and we talked about new wine in old bottles. You remember this, Wes? Like it was essentially, it was a recycling.
Thomas Taylor.
Yeah, it was a recycling of the same ideas. It was Hyman. It was Harold Hyman, right? And he was talking about
that's
the
right.
same. Yeah, it was Hyman. And he was talking about the same idea of what we've been doing, but trying to remarket it in a new way. And so when we talk about these things about bonding and what type of etching we're using, an aprismatic enamel, don't feel bad if you don't know what this is. Don't feel bad if you don't know what this is. Like, this is something to go back and study and look at. Why are you using? I think if you can't answer the question today as you hear this podcast of why are you using the bond you're using, that should be question 1 in your mind. I want you to ask your rep because you might have a relationship.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me why I should use what you have recommended. Your assistant that has told you this is what's on sale. I want you to ask the question, why are we using this? And I want you to go back and realize you are a doctor. You are a doctor. You have been educated. You should know what a hybrid layer is. You should know what happens when you etch. You should know what happens when you bond. You should know what a 4th generation bonding material is, what a 5th is, what a 6th, what a 7th is. Why should you not use a single bottle system? What is going on that we don't have this conversation enough? I'm very, very concerned. So I hear about this and I hear about what Jason Smithson is teaching you, Wes, and I think it's amazing because he is a true expert in this field. So I want you to give me some brass tacks here, right? Because we can get in the weeds about the bonding and about how to prepare and the micro abrasion and the etching and all that. So
let's talk about what's changed.
What is it? Yeah, what is it changing in your practice? Because I think that's super important for people to hear. What is it made you want to do or do more of or less of or whatever?
Yeah.
Compared to what before you take the course.
So because of some of these refinements and confirmations, okay, that I've received from taking Jason's course, I have fully incorporated into my practice at this point in 2023 and beginning of 2022, really. And even before that, but in a different way, okay? But really full on as a part of my treatment planning, composite veneers as an alternative option to ceramic.
It's a beast. It's a beast.
Now, let me just say this, okay? So last Monday, right, I delivered 8 ceramic veneers under rubber dam isolation, okay? Yeah, I'm that guy now. And we can talk about that again, right? How do you deliver ceramic restorations under rubber dam isolation? But I delivered 8 on Monday. On Thursday, I prepped and delivered 6 anterior chairside veneers. Okay? Non-ceramic, composite. Okay? And so why would one patient choose ceramic, and why would I treatment plan ceramic for that patient, and why one patient would choose composite? Okay? It comes down to treatment planning and creating awareness, right? Which is the spear way, okay? The spear
Yep.
way of
Yep.
doing these things is to create awareness through photography. If you just go on and look at FGTP, it says that. I mean, like, and again, I'm not being
Yep.
paid to say that, right?
Nope.
But when you create awareness, right, in your practice for what's possible, then you can talk intelligently about it. So, for instance, a patient
Yep.
sits down and I say, you have two options. And I always present, no one goes to Best Buy, John, right? Here's a little pearl for you. They don't take you over to the Hisense 4K, right? TV that's 40 inches. No, they take you over to the LG, right? OLED C3 or
That's always the
gallery.
OLEDs. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
They take you to
With
the
the brightness
one,
set on 140.
it's in the,
Contrast on 230.
yeah. It
Oh,
just
yeah, I
looks
know.
amazing. It's blowing your mind out. And you're like, how much does that cost? Buying question, right? Buying question,
Right.
right?
Right.
So listen, whenever I present veneers, I say, okay, you have two options. The first option offers the best prognosis. Be the doctor. It's the best prognosis. So with ceramic veneers, you get color stability. In fact, if prepared correctly, it is the longest and strongest restoration that we do. In fact, if prepared correctly, right, and done in the right manner, can last 20 plus years, right? I have them in my practice.
Makes me wish Ray Bertolotti was 31 years old.
I mean, let me just tell you, Ray
Because
influenced you and
if
I.
he was, he'd be on the show 43 times.
He would be.
You and I both learned from him, did we not?
Amazing. AGD, West Virginia University, Ray Bertolotti. Amazing. Okay?
I mean, if you are on this show
Air
and you
abrasion.
have taken a course from Ray Bertolotti, can you give us just a shout out? Because I remember, and I'm sorry, Wes. I'm coming back.
This is it. You gotta just take a little side note here.
No, this is I don't take a lot of these, right? But I feel like it's important. There are some people, Wes, maybe I'm getting old. I don't care about this anymore.
Start saying
There's
that,
some
John.
people that's a lot of BS, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that maybe they got I don't know. They got on a Dentistry Today, like
cover,
talk to the right knew the right people or something. I don't know. But Ray Bertolotti actually did the real work. He did the work. And I remember, going to Yosemite National Park. We stayed at the One Hotel. This is a long time ago.
Yeah.
And this sounds weird because I feel like I'm super old. But I remember going there, and it was about maybe 15 to 20 dentists, and Ray sitting up on a stool with a glass of wine. And Ed McLaren was there. Before Ed was famous, he really wasn't famous. Now, he is now. I mean, he's pretty much done with dentistry. He's just famous. But he was still trying real hard at that point to try to establish himself. And Ed just talked about, I don't know. He talked about he's a ceramics engineer, this guy. Ceramics engineer. Like, he wasn't just a dentist, but he understood ceramics in a way that very few of us did. He was part of introducing hybridization of the dentin to the United States. Literally, we were afraid to do it for so many years. We didn't want to etch dentin. We didn't want to etch it. Etch enamel, not dentin. Watch out. And
some of you are still not etching dentin. Some of you are still not etching dentin.
Right. So I just say this to say that when I hear all of this, I want to just say, I remember how hard he fought to get this idea in place of just thinking about etching, thinking about the hybrid layer and how important it was. And now I hear Jason Smithson coming in, bringing a lot of the same information. I think if Jason was with us today, he would give a lot of credit to people like that, who would say, this is who brought us to where we are today. So
Well,
back
John,
to
you
what
got a
you were
little
saying. Sorry
nostalgic
for the
there, and I
digress.
like that. I like that. I like
No,
nostalgia.
I mean, I think it's
and
important. I
like
think
Ray
it's
Bertolotti.
very interesting. No, I mean, the
Well,
dude knew what he was doing.
yeah.
So you're talking about this now. You
From a
said,
standpoint of prognosis, John, right? We're talking about the
so what do you
prognosis.
say to a patient? What do you say to a patient? So somebody says, all right, I got 6 anterior veneers to do. And it's not a massive shade change. Okay. It is maybe a shape change and a 1 to 2 shade change.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What is your thought process for you, the restorative dentist, on your comfort zone? What did the course do for you to get you comfortable? Okay. Did you get more comfortable because of the course, or did you just say, okay, I'm going to change the way I do things because it's conservative?
Mm-hmm.
And how does that conversation, is it about longevity versus, shade options, or do you feel like you can give the patient a result similar to what you get from the lab because of what you got from Jason Smithson's course? I really want to know.
I mean, I'm not going to claim to be Jason Smithson, right?
No, I got you.
But what I am going to say is that I feel like that I can get about 85% of what the lab's giving me. Okay. And I feel
That's
like
big.
I feel like I'm learning, right, how to make my anterior single units, right, indistinguishable and really better than what some laboratories may be able to provide. Now, I work with an excellent lab, and matching, one crown to the natural tooth on 8 and 9, prepping 8 veneer because it's chipped or whatever. I mean, I feel like my lab's a very good lab and can do those things very nicely. But I feel like that I've learned some things about composite through Jason that allows me to really provide composite restorations that are 85% of what ceramics can give. Now, here's what you lose, right? So I tell my patients, I say, look, the top of the line is ceramics, and here's what they cost, and here's what it takes to do that. And then I show them a few of my cases.
Would Jason Smithson say that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Does he say okay, I just want to know.
Absolutely. The thing that I like about Jason is like he'll like, look, hey, top of the line ceramics.
I like
right?
it. I like him for that because he's not trying to make it sound like okay, so like my composites are so good.
No. And I'll tell you something else to be confirmed for me about composite. I've been open and vertical with composite for almost 4 years right now. And I've left it in the mouth, and what I find is patients break it, right? But they're not breaking my crowns when I open vertical. And so whenever he said this, he said, if you're doing transitional bonding and you're opening people's vertical with composite in the anterior, it's totally doable. But in the posterior, it just breaks over time. The composite will break. It's not just you. You need to put them in a monolithic, crown in the posterior, whether that's Emax or zirconia. Now, here's the thing: is that, of course, occlusion Spanish, all that kind of stuff. But what am I doing now that allowed me to feel so comfortable offering? This is the good, better, best scenario, right? Best is ceramics, and Jason would tell you that. I mean, I feel like if he's on the show, he'd be like, hey, ceramics are amazing, right? But we can do a pretty daggone good composite. That's next. Here's the problem with composite. And I love the way Jason, I'm not stealing this from Jason. Jason, this one's for you, right? He taught me something, and he taught me how to tell patients to create awareness for what you call office polish. Whenever you provide, I don't care what kind of flexi buff you use, what kind of Comet diamond polishing, fancy brush aluminum thing you got, right? When the patient gets up from your chair, the composite veneers look like glass. And they look amazing. It's what we call office polish, ma'am, sir. The minute you walk out the door, and you start sucking on acid and brushing with silica and your toothpaste and all the things that we have that are abrasive, the difference here is that composite's going to get an inherent polish. It's just going to dull a little bit. But the thing that separates us out from a lot of dentists, John, is that we know how to polish composite really well in our office. And our hygienists are trained now, at least one of them. I'm working on the others, right? On how to polish composite veneers and get them back to the office polish. So what I'm saying, ma'am or sir, is that every time you leave, you're going to leave with an office polish, and these are going to continually have to be polished over and over and over again until one day, maybe 5 to 10 years later, or if you wait too long, like some of my patients have, right, they need to have them redone, right? These are not forever. And either you're going to
telling patients on that? What do you tell the patients on, okay, assuming they got office polish and you have a hygienist that knows what they're doing? And I understand this is a tough question, so it's not a fair question.
Well, ask it, John.
But, like, are you thinking every 5 years they're going to have to be redone? Every 10? Every 2?
Honestly, I tell patients it's different for everyone, but I feel really comfortable in saying that men are harder than women on their teeth, right? So for men, I'm thinking like, you're probably going to get 5 to 7 years out of this. In my hands, managed occlusion in my office. You may get a few chips. Interesting thing is my treatment planning coordinator sitting right here in the room has composite veneers 3 through 14 that I did. And so it's like, why did she choose that? Well, her circumstances were financial, right? She knows, and she's already managed some small little chips by coming in and repairing them, right? And so what we would say is that, do they last as long as ceramic? No. How long do they last? Hey, here's a general rule of thumb, 5 to 10 years. And really, I wouldn't expect more out of that. And I feel like that the techniques, right, came from, 1, his course, and 2, an experience of taking courses like from Ray and over the years that reinforced. But I do feel like that going into this course, you're going to learn some techniques that if you're a new dentist, you're going to be a little bit overwhelmed and take home some pearls to help you with your standard dentistry bonding. And you're going to get some ideas and be like, man, I really want to go there, so I need more training, right? So you're going to get the spark and want to take more training from somebody like Jason to do more of this type of dentistry. And really, from there, it's about like how much do you want to incorporate. For me, I offer both options now, right? It takes me about 6 hours, right? No, wait a minute, sorry, 5 to 6 hours to do 8 units and do them well. Now that's a long time, right? That's a long time.
That's a long time.
And that's a tough day, right? It's a fun day.
Well, you got to figure out, and I mean, this is a whole other thing, and we don't have time for it tonight, but you got to figure a charge for that, right? 5-6 hours. So this is what's always kept me.
You might not think, but they're not, but about, in my practice, maybe 30% cheaper than ceramic. So
so this is where you got to figure it out, right? You got to decide how your hourly rate is, your time. This is where going to courses like Smithson's course. That's hard. Why is that hard to say? Smithson's course can help you to be more efficient. Because in the end, as we've talked about over the years and years and years, it still has to make sense from a business and efficiency standpoint for your practice. But you also have to believe in it. So if in the end, this is what I kind of get from these discussions, and I haven't taken the course, and it might be the next thing for me because I know it's important. And you and I took a Smithson course years ago.
Yep.
There was an AGD course on anteriors, and it was a game changer on anterior veneers. But this is a next level course at Spear. But I think about like, okay, what is your, it's not all about this, but you got to think about it. It's like, okay, per hour production, yes, but also per hour complication rate. If I'm going to spend 5-6 hours, how many times am I going to be back to fixing this case over a year, 3-year, 2-year period? Not a bad idea. Maybe I always feel like I can get better at this, but I think this is the conversation that there's no maybe higher, I don't know, authority on these days than people like Smithson, Buddy Mopper, Greg Kinzer. There's a few people out there that are teaching this. Smithson being one of the elder statesmen.
Yeah, I feel like
Kinzer
that
being one.
there are some people right now that if you're a dentist and if you're not careful, you're going to miss out, right, on getting them in their prime. And I feel like that Jason is in his prime right now. And if you didn't get to hear a Ray Bertolotti, then you need to listen to Jason Smithson. You know, the greatest thing that I can tell you is to do exactly what Brandemark said. Surround yourself with people that are better than you, that are greater than you, that are smarter than you, and you're bound to succeed. And Jason is one of those people that I just want to be around. And I'm excited to say that it was a great course. It really helped me. It helped solidify and confirm a lot of things. It actually helped to stop me from doing things that I shouldn't be doing. I was wrong, and it proved other people were wrong too. And that's okay to be wrong because you got to fail to be right. And I like failure. Yeah, you're like, what? Do you like failure?
Well, I want to say something about that I feel like is happening right now. And Wes,
I know where this is going.
I know.
I love it.
Like
maybe this is where we take the show just for a little bit here. So let me just say this. There are so many people that have this view that idealism, right?
Well, I was going to say, like, there's like maybe 8 or 10 people in dental education right now that this might be it for them in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about people that have been doing this a while, and not because they were making millions of dollars, but because they cared. Ray Bertolotti, we've mentioned, one of those people. He didn't make
Frank
billions of dollars. You got Frank Spear, amazing clinician, and really maybe more than anything, amazing storyteller.
Yeah.
The ability to communicate to people in ways that we can't. I think about people like Joe Masad.
Yep.
You know, how much did he contribute? How many good denture guys we got out there right now?
Yeah.
Like one or two?
Yeah.
There's no one young. There's no one under the age of 40 doing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Hey, put it in the comments section, guys. Like, send us a private
tell me
message.
Who's doing it?
Because we'll go get him.
Nader Sharifi was doing partials 2 years ago. He's gone now. From what I see,
love
he's not doing
partials
any
and
TV.
It's
no
like
one's talking about partials. No one's talking about. I mean, Masad. He's in Vegas only, apparently doing like a few lectures for Zest. I mean, great for him.
Yeah, think about this, Endo, John. Endo, right? Yeah, Ruddle's gone.
Buchanan.
Ruddle's gone. Yeah. Buchanan is now isolated to his own camp. My associate's going to take his course.
It's making me sad, Wes.
It's
making me sad because
we need
are
more
moving
people
away. Yes, we need people who are at the top of their game, who are willing to do what it takes to put the time in. And I am telling you, listeners, there are not as many of them as there once were, because online education, as great as it is, is not a replacement when it comes to hands-on techniques, clinical techniques, learning what we're talking about, to be able to give you the skills to be able to deliver a Jason Smithson veneer or a Joe Masad reline or a Steve Buchanan retreat of I remember the guy when I was out in Santa Barbara showing us retreats. He's like, oh, you think plastic obturators are tough? Let me show you this Hedstrom file technique. And he's popping them out like it's nothing. And he's like, retreatments are easy. Here's what's one step, 1, 2. I'm not retreating. I'm just saying the guy knows.
So let me just say this real quick, is that we don't have the patience as technicians today to invest the time that it takes to become excellent anymore.
Yeah,
and
come on now.
And therefore, what we are doing, John, is we are accepting mediocrity as okay, and therefore the standard of care in dentistry is going down and down and down because we are accepting a lower outcome standard. And what we're trying to do, and I'm watching it very firsthand, is we are waiting to the day of a procedure and we're doing some research, Google research,
on YouTube,
and on YouTube from who knows where it comes from, right? And saying, well, I'm just going to go copy what they're doing without any further questioning or even research into reading what is, or talking to, or putting yourself in the midst of learning environments. Being a technician, I don't care whether it's remodeling a kitchen and putting, understanding what standards we have in building and what it took for my dad to instill that in me, and being around that. You cannot practice in a vacuum as a technician. Look, the people at the Taj Mahal, John, you've been there with me. How many years did it take for them to learn how to lay the tile in the Taj, right? And to be apprenticed. It was unbelievable. And it's been said for years, it takes 10,000 hours to become a professional. I am sick and tired of people not reading and not studying and not putting in the work and not understanding what we were talking about at the beginning of this podcast, right? Which is, what is hybridization of dentin? What does that truly mean, right?
Yep. And so this is where I think we want to kind of give you guys and girls who are listening to this show, who maybe have listened to us from 2015, and maybe it's just been the last, 2 hours. Just want you to understand where we're coming from. Like, there is a place for everyone in this. I did not know anything about this topic topic XYZ in this year, and I realized I had a deficiency, and I dedicated myself to that. There is no short way. So I'll just leave it. I'll leave you with this. Right. So when I was about 11 years old, I thought the guitar was cool. So I really was like, I'm going to learn how to play the guitar. So we're talking to some people the other day about this, and they were like, oh, play a song for me. So I play a song, and they're like, well, what about this song? They played it on their phone. I was able to pick up the song and play it, right? Not because I'm amazing, but because I spent a lot of time trying to learn how to deal with this instrument and play things and learn music. And long story short, YouTube has made you think that there is a shortcut for things.
Yep.
And there is a shortcut for some things, right? If you want to know how to fix maybe your dishwasher, and there might be a way to like reset the motherboard on your air conditioner, or like read the code on your car. And YouTube is useful for some things that used to just be like a mystery, but really were very easy things. But there was no shortcut for learning to play the guitar, right? There's no shortcut for learning to play the clarinet or the trombone or any of that. You have to put in your time, and you have to become good at it, because there is no shortcut. YouTube has only led us to shortcuts and things that were originally easy. The things that were originally hard will always be hard. Well, guess what, guys and girls? Dentistry is freaking hard, and it's getting harder all the time. And even the easiest things that we think are easy, they're not easy. And why have we partnered with people over the years in the dental guys like Academy of Osseointegration, like the Dental Crafters Network, and Brad, the Dental Lab guy? Why have we partnered with people like some of the best products? Because it's not easy. Why are we lamenting the loss of some of our forefathers of dental education? Because it is not easy. So we are saying, in the face of difficulty, you must endure to believe that there is a way that is best. And it is not the easy way, but in the end, It will become the easy way if you just dedicate yourself to that. So, Wes, you have shared with us how disruptive Smithson's course at Spear has made your practice and how it has made you think differently about composite veneers, composite versus ceramic, hybridization. I will share with you in the next episode how what I am about to embark upon at Spear as far as advanced treatment planning, airway, wear, all the things that have been messing with us on that side have messed with me. Because we want you guys to get that we are continuously being messed with. And if you stop, if nothing is bothering you right now, you're probably not doing it right.
If you're showing up to work and you're just in the muck and you're like, same day today, same day yesterday, and there's no challenge and you're not looking for better solutions, hey, listen, now's the time. All you have to do is ask, right?
Yep.
The best thing you can do is ask questions, right? Now, you may not find the answers immediately. And, you know, I feel like that we have a craft, which is dentistry as a craft. It is something that's based on skills and techniques. And what comes with a skill and technique driven industry, a craft industry, right, is learning from a mentor, right? Learning from a friend, spending time with other dentists in collaboration. And this is what COVID really showed us, is that we do need collaboration. As one of our interviews that we did off camera with a learning design specialist, there is no substitution for collaboration when it comes to complex skills and things that we're learning in dentistry. And so I would encourage you, as we go about this journey that we're on, to jump on board and not accept mediocrity. And you know what? The very first thing you can do tomorrow is go on to your bonding company's website, whatever that might be, whether it's, Kerr or, 3M or Carrare or something like that, and download the IFU, right, which is how to use the product.
I like it.
Right?
I like it.
And spend the lunchtime, honestly, reading that PDF. I guarantee it's longer than you think, and you're probably thinking, well, that's biased. There's still some science from the manufacturers, and there's still a reason, right, to even question it. There's nothing wrong with questioning it. But what I would say is start there. Start with just downloading, right, the PDF for your bonding agent and read it.
Yep.
And that could be the next thing that unlocks. That could be things that unlock for you maybe some problems that you're having.
But at very least, master what you're using as a start. And if you don't know after that why you're having issues, whether it be sensitivity, you have fractures, chipping, problems with contacts, whatever it is, at least you know that you're using the material that you have the way it was intended to be used. Right. And I think that's a wonderful start. It should be. It sounds like we're being difficult, but it's not. It's simple, because if you don't know, you don't know. And don't trust your rep, and don't trust your assistant. They may be amazing and know everything, but don't trust them. Read it for yourself.
It's a great resource to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And here's the thing, right?
And I think that what we want you to get from this episode, as we're kind of getting back and rolling with our brand of doing things, is, strive for that level and bring it to, and if you've been with us from the beginning and you have worked your way through that and you have been in it for years and years and you are ready for the next thing, trust me, we're bringing it. Trust me. It's not going to be a problem. We're going to challenge you in everything you got. But if you are new to this and you are working your way through it, I can't do all the big stuff. Just hang with us. Start with the instructions for use, build from that. We will be there as your advocates, as your friends, as people that have been there with you. Always try to take it to the next level. So for Wes the Dental Guy, I'm John the Dental Guy. This has been a really exciting episode, 151 of the Dental Guys. Hang with us as we go through this year. We're going to bring you some content that is going to challenge you. It's going to make you better. And that's what it's all about here on the Dental Guys.